So hello, this is another video. So you saw the joke that I said, and this video is about bullying. I was bullied as a kid, and it's something that did affect my confidence, and it can affect your confidence in a huge way, because you start to believe the things that are said to you, and also about overcoming bullying. Because the aftermath of being bullied can have a long-lasting effect. There have been kids who have committed suicide because of it. It can make kids as young as 11 or even like younger than that have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's a horrific thing to have. It's where you have flashbacks, or as soon as something reminds you of being bullied, it makes you freeze and shut down. That's what normally happens to me, because I am finding it hard to deal with other cases of bullying and also abuse. I find it so disturbing and so heart-wrenching that I do find it hard to listen to, but it is something that needs to be addressed, because even now, I'm a child who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and there was still bullying going on then, and it's still going on now, but I do like the fact that now lots of schools and clubs have a sort of an anti-bullying policy, which has helped it a lot, and schools have put things into place if a child does report bullying, and so it has come on a lot since I was a kid, because there wasn't anything like an anti-bullying policy back in the 80s, and not even in the 90s, to be fair. But I'm glad that that it has been something that has been a focus point, because it is soul destroying, humiliating, and it can change from being verbal abuse to physical abuse, and it can be anything like name calling, being given a silent treatment, being isolated, being excluded from things, having someone say nasty comments to you behind other people's backs. It is a huge range of things. There are people who do abuse the word. There are, because and it does affect those who have been bullied, like myself. To come forward, because there are those who do take advantage of that word, bullying. Bullying is, it is what it is. Even the word, it spells nastiness, and I've been bullied in the workplace as well. I'm not going to say where, but I've witnessed it as well. And I remember once when I was working in a kitchen, and some young kid was getting bullied by one of the team leaders, and he went from being super confident that evening to an absolute nervous wreck. And I always talked about this before in another video, but it is an incident that always comes into my mind when I think about workplace bullying, because it was dreadful, and I even reported it. I didn't, but I did report it, because I just thought that was so demoralising, and in the end that kid ended up leaving, and that's another thing it can affect. It can affect, if it does happen, even in schools, it can affect the, having a lot of kids leaving schools because of bullying. In workplaces, it can affect morale and staff turnover, and And people shouldn't be frightened about going to school or going into work. It should be something that should be, everybody on the same page, there for the same reason, and not there to attack or destroy somebody. And it can be horrific. I mean, I remember watching, there was a TV series called Waterloo Road, which was based on a school, and there's a young kid in it, and that's one of the inspirations of that story that helped me create my first novel, Lonely Walk to Happiness. And it's about a young girl who gets cyberbullied and has a eating disorder to the point where she ends up in hospital, and it can affect so many things in your life. So I remember having the opportunity to train with the film ladies, and because of my confidence, I would go over in my head of why I shouldn't go, and what if this happens, what if that happens, and in the end I would talk myself out of going, and then I'd regret it after, thinking, that was a great opportunity, but because of bullying, it can leave an everlasting scar, and is always at the back of your mind. So, and that joke is basically highlighting it, that those who bully think they're, superior. It's not always a child that's been bullied as well. Often it is those who look down on other people. And, we're all here for the same reason, to live our lives. Not to just exist, but to, have a life that's filled with happiness and kindness and fulfilling. And we shouldn't be demolishing somebody just because you're jealous. That's that's something you need to deal with. That's not your problem. It's not your problem that person's using your fantastic personality to destroy you, because at the end of the day, everybody has a right to live on this planet, and it can start off with verbal and then turn into violence and physical harm, and it is something that needs to be spoken about still. This is going to go on to also my site called the Archangels Network .wordpress.com, which I've created for children who may or are being abused or bullied, and it's just an extra shoulder to cry on and extra support, and it's working in line with Childline and the National Children's Bureau and the NSPCC. And there's lots more. There's if you've got a child who seems to have all the symptoms of depression, which can be caused from bullying, then there is Mind.org, which is centered around mental health, because mental health is a massive factor and a massive after effect of bullying. And it's just something that if more adults spoke about bullying, because I think there's a lot of adults who still have scars from bullying and don't want to talk about it, but if more adults came forward to talk about it, I think it would encourage more children to come forward to talk about it, and more things would put into play, because I believe that now, especially with stabbings and all that going on, because I remember that going on where I lived in Hammersmith as well. I remember they used to have a fun fair on the Fulham Rec, and my mum and dad was very would never allow us to go to that fun fair, because there was always somebody who got stabbed whilst that was on. And I think even the Fulham Carnival, got stopped because of it. And knife crime has got huge now. Every day it seems like a kid's getting stabbed, and I don't want to tread on somebody else's toes, because there is a woman whose brother was killed, and that's her sort of side of things. But it is still something that is a form of, well, can progress from bullying. And I think if we have more policing in schools, clubs, organisations, I think that would have a massive effect on bullying, and making kids aware of it and how to spot the signs before it gets worse. You know, who they can go to report it. When working in the nursery, the one training we had to do was safeguarding for children, because every nursery now has a safeguarding officer. I don't know what it is in schools. I don't know if that's the same. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna research that because I'm not sure. But in nurseries they do. And when I did my football qualification in coaching, the one training we had to do as well was first aid and child protection, because obviously you need to make sure that coaches don't have any past criminal convictions in abuse or bullying. And every club, a sports club, should have a code of conduct to protect kids within the setting, and it's something that does need to be more monitored, because it's not just kids that are bullying kids, it's adults bullying kids as well, and that's when it becomes trickier to deal with, especially if it's a teacher or, you know, a coach. It's very hard to monitor that. But I think, again, if we got the police involved in working in schools and kids clubs and that, I think that would make a huge difference. And I would like to hear your feedback on that as well, if you have. But yeah, this is part of my child safety, me up on child safety course as well. But like I say, if you have a kid who's been bullied, there should be an anti-bullying campaign policy within your school. So do check it out if your son or daughter has been bullied. Or also talk to, you know, a teacher if it's another child. If it's a teacher, then of course you can always go to the head of the school, and there's also Ofsted, you know. So there are routes around it, and there are ways of getting it investigated and stopped. So yeah, so this is what this video is about, and I will see you next one. Take care. Bye bye. Right, I've just written another joke on Twitter, so I'm going to see what I can say. This is going to go on to my video I've just done. So a girl shouts out in class, "I'm an it girl and I'm fabulous." And then someone else stands up and says, "Yes, and she's my bully and I'm her victim, and she's also a shit girl." So, sorry about that if you thought that was sad, but I thought I had to tell that one because I'm kind of proud of that one. See you later. Bye.